2.
So for extended school year, there's certain criteria that a student has to meet, and the school district has to provide data to show whether or not the student is eligible for extended school year. In an extended school year, everybody usually thinks of that as only during the summer, but it also could be over other breaks at school during winter break or spring break. That if a child is not going to recoup quickly enough after a break, they are entitled to extended school year during those longer breaks. Uh, the schools are supposed to keep data showing whether or not a student is is regressing over breaks, and that's pretty normal. Most students do regress over a summer period, but it's how long it takes them to recoup. So there's supposed to be data showing right before the break how a student is doing, the day they come back from the break, and if they are not on up to the same par that they were when they left, then each day or so they're supposed to take data to show how long it takes. If it takes a longer period of time than just a few days or a week, that child would be eligible for extended school year. That's one criteria. The second criteria is if they're at a critical stage. Say, for instance, a student is just getting their ABCs, just learned it, and a break's probably going to put them back on that. You say that they're at a critical stage and they should have ESY. One thing to keep in mind is the school has to have that meeting at least 45 days before the end of the school year to make that determination. So if you have an annual IEP before winter break, I would always say at that meeting that you want to reconvene at least 45 days before the end of the school year to talk about ESY, because they shouldn't have enough data so far to make that determination if that child is going to need it because of regression and failure to recoup or critical stage until after at least a winter break.
And one thing we see is that at annual IEP meetings in August at the beginning of the school year or September, schools are so afraid to forget that ESY meeting before the end of the school year, so they'll have it already on the draft IEP, and it will say that Johnny does not require ESY. And I say, really? Where's the data for that? Because school just started 2 weeks ago, and you have to have a break to see if he's regressed over the break. So where's the data? And then they'll write into the IEP, you know what, we will revisit this at the end of the school year.
But 45 days before.
45 days. So what kind of things does ESY cover? Like, is it summer school or what is it?
So it's basically, you're only supposed to be working toward the goals on the IEP. So every IEP has goals that are targeted. So say a child has 5 IEP goals, but only 2 might be targeted. And this has happened where the school says, oh, that student made progress in those 2 targeted areas. I said, but what about the other 3 goals? He didn't make progress. Oh, those weren't targeted. I said, really? So you're going to tell me that it is that you're providing FAPE when you didn't target 3 of the goals on which he's not making progress, so you're denying him ESY? So anyway, that was changed, and we got ESY for the other 3 goals.
So, and is it at school, like they go to a summer school program or tutoring, or how does that look?
It's for a shortened day. It's about an hour or 2, depending on your school district, and it could be at the home school, but it could be somewhere else. It's not always the best thing. You really have to think, do you want your child, does your child actually need to continue? Sometimes kids need a break. So, it's not, there's a transition involved because it's different kids, it's different teacher. So it depends what you want for your child. But for if your goal really is academics, then it's good. But otherwise, if it's a social goal, you can find that somewhere else.